So when people say, well, Eric, I got, my capability statement's kind of weak because, like I worked in IT for 20 years and then like now I want to start a janitorial business. Okay, time out. No problem. But I don't have no janitorial past performance. No problem. Let's look at an example right now. So we have an opportunity we're looking at. And hold on. So we have an opportunity that we're looking at, let's say, to do landscaping, right? And so Maria, let's say it's a woman-owned contract and it's a landscaping contract. So we want to put Maria at the forefront. Maria's never done landscaping before. So you're like, oh, well, what would she put on her capability statement? She not. What we're gonna do is we go out and find a project manager who has done the exact same type of experience that the government's asking for, right? And that person is gonna be the employee of the corporation. So in turn, that corporation, right, using that person's past performance, the person that's running it has 10 years of project management experience doing contracts of similar size, scope, and nature. This is acceptable. This is allowable. The government tells you that. The government actually says that. They want to see, the government knows that you, the owner, are not the one that's going to be actually doing it. Unless you're a 1099er, right, and you're trying to do a contract as a 1099er, it's asking me to show stuff on there. The government allows you, right? The government's asking you, hey, I don't want to know how good the CEO is. Like, the CEO is not going to be out here cutting grass. The owner is not going to be out here trimming the hedges. How good are the people that work for them? Do you have, and again, they're going to tell you exactly, do you have a project manager this much experience? Do you have a safety person? Do you have a superintendent person? Like, what? They're going to spell out exactly what you need. Listen, guys, to me, this is almost like cheating because they're giving you the answers. The first time I ever wrote a grant in my life, I got a perfect score. The first time I wrote a grant, I got a perfect rating. They said that I had the highest rating out of everybody in Miami-Dade for writing this grant. And I'm like, okay, I didn't expect to get anything less than a perfect score. The grant listed out the components of the grant that you needed. It listed out the scoring rating system next to it, how many points you get for this question, this question, this question. And so it told you the criteria in which to score high versus score low. So all I did was provide answers that gave me higher ratings than lower ratings. Sometimes I think we try to overcomplicate stuff. If you pull down the requirement and it says you need a person with 3 years experience, look, if y'all submit somebody with 2 years experience, you need to be slapped. It don't even make no sense. Like, if they tell you need 3 different positions, why would you submit 2 positions? If they tell you need these 3 people and these 3 key positions, you need to go out and find a resume of 3 people that have all the experience that they're asking for in those 3 positions. What is complicated about that? It's baffling to me how people do not pre-qualify for this stuff. Well, Eric, what if I don't have the people? Go find them. Go on ZipRecruiter, Indeed, Career Resource. Go to your local resource center in your city, town, state, place. Do a recruitment. Tell them that you're looking at contract opportunities in this particular field, and you're looking for people that have this experience. You'd like to look at some resumes. Look, I'm not a genius. This is stuff that corporations and organizations do all the time. If you know that you're going to need these people, start looking for them now. Go grab their resumes, right? Have a conversation with them. Let them know, hey, there's a lot. What did they say? There's 56 million people that applied for unemployment over the last 3 months. 30 million people out of work. There's people. There's everything that you need is out there. Everything. So I don't understand how can you not qualify for this stuff, except the fact that you're not trying. And again, I know that I'm giving you a lot of creative ideas and things like that. But the reality is that people are sitting back and they're sitting here and they're saying, man, I ain't got nobody that know how to do that. Look, I'm not talking about your neighbors or your family, friends, or fools. I'm talking about going to a website where you hire people from, right? Going to a place where people, like if you were looking for a job, where would you put your resume at? Instead of you putting your resume there, you go to find resumes. Like some of these concepts again, and I know Maria says I have an alien brain, and I've been doing this for a long time, and so I've done a lot of this kind of stuff, but there are places out there, like if we stop and really were to think, okay, if and we have one of our students, I'm hoping to get her on to talk to you guys, that she landed her first contract, and she had to hire 40 people for her first janitorial contract, and she hired 40 people in 3 days. You think she did it on her own? Absolutely not. She had a couple of her other friends out there that went out recruiting, and they interviewed people at midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning and then they asked people, they were literally interviewing people at night and asked them could they start the next day. And she pulled it off. This is the kind of things that you have to be ready to do. This is how the government operates. We were negotiating a contract for $5 million. The government turned it in. It's submitting. We're waiting on the budget. My senior project manager called me today. He said, Eric, what do you think is going to happen? What I think is going to happen, what I know is about to happen, is the government's waiting on the budget to come down. Once the budget comes down and it falls, they're going to call us up and say, hey, we got your contract ready to go. We need you to start next week. That's the way the government is. They like hurry up and wait. And then when it comes, they're like, hurry up and get started. Like they want you to start right away. And so, okay, look, so Ramona just said there's so many legalities when hiring. Oh my gosh. Okay. There are also companies like that are on here that are staffing companies that you can pay them to handle the legalities. Look, wherever you're going to have a doubt, there's someone else that has already done this. Listen, people, nothing that we're doing is new. There's nothing new under the sun, like they said, biblical principles. There's people that have done this, that have been there before, that have done it already, that can help you handle all this stuff. When I hired people, I had a payroll company that handled all of the payroll. I know there's FUTA and SUTA, Medicare and Medicaid. Can I tell you the percentages? Absolutely not. I don't want that stuff in my brain. Okay? So, again, people, look, we can easily find an excuse, or we can go out there and try to find answers. I challenge everyone out there, instead of quickly making statements that express your fears, your concerns, your doubts that are internal lies, ask more broadly, open-asked questions. Instead of, okay, let's just change this around, right? Instead of saying there's so many legalities when hiring, the question I would have said is, well, how do we get around the legalities of hiring people? You see the difference? It trains your mind to open up to an idea as opposed to how to resolve the issue, as opposed to closing your mind by making a blanket statement that automatically turns it off from finding a solution. We do this all the time. So this is a very common approach. Everyone does this, is we just literally turn off our brains and we start saying why we can't do something. And guess what happens? We put it now. You take the video that you just watched with me today, you spend an hour with me, and then you go off and you do nothing, and you go back to your regular life, and you're like, well, there's so many legalities in hiring, so you know what, forget it. I can't do this. And then you've already talked yourself out of it. Again, we suffer more in imagination than we suffer in reality. Seneca says that. Look, there's people out here that are happy, willing, able to handle your payroll. There's people out here that are willing, able, that would love to handle your staffing issues. Trust me, there's people out here that, look, they want your staffing problems, okay? Go out there and create those type of problems, and I guarantee you there's more than 1,000 people out there, companies, organizations that would love to take on any and all of your staffing and HR issues, headaches, challenges. They eat, breathe, and live it. They love it. So, again, if you're a staffing company, Ramona, listen, go back and watch my last live. We just talked about Heather Blease from out of Blaine, up north, Maine. She's out of Maine up there, and Heather has a staffing company that during COVID, she actually ramped up. She's surpassed 1,000 employees. She was doing staffing. When they started doing the unemployment calls, she had to staff 150 people just to handle unemployment calls for the state of Mississippi. So staffing is a huge industry. Actually, 2 of my podcast guests strictly did staffing. So you go back and listen to those podcasts on staffing, because staffing is a big, big business in the government. And she literally was the Inc. 500 award winner in 2017. She was ranked number 27 in the country with 9 9,000% growth. That's right, 9,000% growth rate from a staffing business, and she never had one prime contract. She was a subcontractor for some of the top DoD firms in the country. Staffing is a blow your mind type of business. I wish I knew that industry because I would be killing it. Staffing is, I mean, everyone that I've talked to that does staffing makes a bucket load of money. The margins are great, the numbers are great, and the government keeps those people for years and years and years, so you're just getting residual income. It's better than housing, it's better than stocks. I'd rather have a staffing company all day long.